Welcome to Cosmic Whispers, where cosmic mysteries come alive. Your journey beyond the stars begins now. In 1842, a German physician named Julius Robert Meyer made a profound observation that would forever change humanity's understanding of energy and life itself. While serving as a ship's doctor in the Dutch East Indies, Meyer noticed that Venus blood appeared unusually bright red in tropical climates. This seemingly minor medical curiosity led him to a revolutionary conclusion. All energy on Earth ultimately derives from the sun, and living organisms are sophisticated solar-powered machines. Meyer's insight laid the groundwork for understanding photosynthesis, the process by which plants, algae, and certain bacteria convert sunlight into chemical energy. This remarkable biological phenomenon captures approximately 120 terawatts of solar energy annually, supporting virtually all life on our planet. For over 3 billion years, photosynthesis has been nature's most successful technology, transforming carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen with an elegance that continues to astound scientists today. The photosynthetic process begins when chlorophyll molecules absorb photons from sunlight. These light-harvesting complexes funnel energy to specialized reaction centers, where water molecules are split to release electrons, protons, and oxygen. The liberated electrons power a complex chain of chemical reactions that ultimately produce adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the universal energy currency of cellular life. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is fixed into organic compounds through the Calvin cycle, creating the sugars that fuel biological growth and development. Yet despite its fundamental importance, natural photosynthesis operates with surprising inefficiency. Most plants convert only 1 to 2% of incoming solar energy into chemical bonds, with even the most efficient crops rarely exceeding 4% conversion rates. This limitation stems from evolutionary constraints rather than physical laws. Plants evolved to survive and reproduce, not to maximize energy conversion, leading to biological systems optimized for stability rather than peak performance. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Cosmic Whispers is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you enjoy unraveling the mysteries of the universe, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us grow this community together. Today, as our global population approaches 8 billion people and climate change accelerates, the limitations of natural photosynthesis present mounting challenges. Agricultural expansion drives deforestation, while increasing food demands strain existing farmland. Simultaneously, our civilization's appetite for energy continues growing exponentially, with fossil fuel consumption contributing to atmospheric carbon dioxide levels not seen in over 3 million years. These converging crises have sparked intense scientific interest in artificial photosynthesis, a revolutionary approach that aims to replicate and improve upon nature's solar energy conversion process. Unlike natural systems constrained by evolutionary history, artificial photosynthetic devices can be engineered specifically for maximum efficiency. Researchers envision synthetic systems capable of converting sunlight into fuels, chemicals, and even food with unprecedented effectiveness. The concept extends far beyond simple energy production. Artificial photosynthesis could potentially address multiple global challenges simultaneously, from climate change mitigation through carbon dioxide capture to food security through direct synthesis of nutrients. Some scientists propose that advanced artificial systems might even enable sustainable agriculture in extreme environments, including Mars colonies or underwater habitats. Understanding Meyer's original insight remains crucial to appreciating this technology's transformative potential. By recognizing that all terrestrial energy flows ultimately trace back to solar radiation, we can begin to imagine a future where human civilization operates as efficiently as the biosphere itself, powered entirely by our star's abundant output. The molecular machinery underlying photosynthesis represents one of evolution's most sophisticated achievements, a nanoscale engineering marvel that has remained largely unchanged for billions of years. To understand how scientists might improve upon this ancient system, we must first explore the intricate biochemical processes that convert photons into the chemical bonds sustaining all complex life on Earth. Photosynthesis occurs within specialized cellular structures called chloroplasts, which contain thousands of individual photosynthetic units known as photosystems. Each photosystem functions as a miniature solar collector, featuring precisely arranged arrays of chlorophyll and accessory pigment molecules. These light-harvesting complexes act like molecular antennas, capturing photons across a broad spectrum of wavelengths and funneling their energy towards central reaction centers with remarkable efficiency. The process begins when incoming photons strike chlorophyll molecules, exciting electrons to higher energy states. Rather than dissipating this energy as heat, the photosynthetic apparatus channels excited electrons through a carefully orchestrated sequence of protein complexes embedded within chloroplast membranes. This electron transport chain operates like a molecular assembly line, with each component precisely positioned to facilitate optimal energy transfer. Two distinct photosystems work in tandem to drive this process. Photosystem 2, despite its name, operates first in the sequence, using light energy to split water molecules into hydrogen ions, electrons, and oxygen gas. The liberated electrons replace those lost from chlorophyll molecules, while the released protons contribute to a growing electrochemical gradient across the chloroplast membrane. Meanwhile, photosystem 1 captures additional photons to further energize these electrons, ultimately reducing nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, or NADP, to its energy-rich form NADPH. The oxygen we breathe represents a byproduct of this water-splitting reaction, making photosynthesis responsible for maintaining Earth's oxidizing atmosphere. Over geological time, photosynthetic oxygen production transformed our planet from an anaerobic world dominated by simple microorganisms into the oxygen-rich environment that enables complex multicellular life. Despite this biochemical sophistication, natural photosynthesis suffers from several fundamental limitations that constrain its efficiency. Chlorophyll molecules absorb only specific wavelengths of light, primarily in the red and blue portions of the spectrum, while reflecting green wavelengths. This selective absorption means that substantial portions of incoming solar energy remain unused, representing a significant inefficiency from an engineering perspective. Additionally, the enzyme responsible for carbon dioxide fixation, ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase, commonly known as Rubisco, exhibits notoriously poor performance characteristics. Rubisco frequently mistakes oxygen for carbon dioxide, leading to a wasteful process called photorespiration that can reduce photosynthetic efficiency by up to 50% under certain conditions. This enzymatic confusion reflects the ancient evolutionary origins of photosynthesis, when atmospheric oxygen levels were negligible. Temperature sensitivity presents another limitation. As temperatures rise, the efficiency of photosynthetic enzymes decreases while photorespiration increases, creating a double penalty for plant productivity in warming climates. Water stress compounds these problems, forcing plants to close their stomata to prevent water loss, which simultaneously restricts carbon dioxide uptake and further reduces photosynthetic efficiency. These inherent constraints in natural systems provide clear targets for improvement in artificial photosynthetic devices. By understanding the specific bottlenecks that limit biological efficiency, researchers can design synthetic systems that avoid evolutionary compromises while maximizing energy conversion rates. The challenge lies in replicating the beneficial aspects of biological photosynthesis while engineering solutions to its fundamental limitations. Early research into artificial photosynthesis focused on mimicking the basic light-harvesting function of chlorophyll using synthetic molecules. Scientists discovered that certain metal complexes could effectively capture solar energy and drive chemical reactions, albeit with limited efficiency and stability compared to their biological counterparts. The quest to create artificial photosynthetic systems that surpass nature's efficiency has driven some of the most innovative research in modern materials science and chemistry. Unlike their biological counterparts, artificial systems can be designed from the ground up to optimize specific functions, potentially achieving conversion efficiencies that far exceed the 1 to 4% typical of natural photosynthesis. The foundation of most artificial photosynthetic devices lies in semiconductor materials that can absorb sunlight and generate electron-hole pairs, similar to how chlorophyll captures light energy. Silicon, the workhorse of the solar industry, initially seemed like an obvious choice. However, researchers quickly discovered that silicon's electronic properties make it unsuitable for directly driving the complex chemical reactions required for artificial photosynthesis. Instead, scientists have focused on developing specialized semiconductor materials with precisely tuned energy levels. Titanium dioxide emerged as an early breakthrough material for artificial photosynthesis research. When illuminated with ultraviolet light, titanium dioxide can split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, demonstrating the basic principle of artificial photosynthesis. However, titanium dioxide only responds to ultraviolet radiation, which comprises less than 5% of the solar spectrum, severely limiting its practical efficiency. This limitation sparked intensive research into visible light-responsive materials. Scientists have developed numerous approaches, including doping titanium dioxide with nitrogen or sulfur atoms to extend its light absorption into the visible range, and creating entirely new semiconductor compositions based on materials like bismuth vanadate, tungsten oxide, and iron oxide. Each material offers unique advantages and challenges in terms of light absorption, chemical stability, and catalytic activity. The most promising artificial photosynthetic devices, often called artificial leaves, integrate multiple functional components into single devices. These systems typically feature a light-absorbing semiconductor layer sandwiched between catalysts that promote water oxidation and carbon dioxide reduction reactions. The semiconductor absorbs sunlight and generates the electrical potential necessary to drive these thermodynamically uphill reactions, while the catalysts provide the specific chemical environments needed for efficient bond breaking and formation. Water splitting represents one of the most challenging aspects of artificial photosynthesis. The oxygen evolution reaction requires removing 4 electrons and 4 protons from 2 water molecules simultaneously, a process that demands sophisticated catalytic systems. Nature accomplishes this feat using a cluster of 4 manganese atoms and 1 calcium atom embedded within photosystem 2, but replicating this complex in artificial systems has proven extraordinarily difficult. Researchers have explored numerous alternative catalysts for water oxidation, including precious metals like ruthenium and iridium, as well as more abundant materials based on cobalt, nickel, and iron. Each catalyst system offers different trade-offs between activity, stability, and cost. Ruthenium and iridium catalysts exhibit excellent performance but are too expensive for large-scale deployment, while earth-abundant alternatives often suffer from limited durability under operating conditions. Carbon dioxide reduction presents equally formidable challenges. Unlike oxygen evolution, which produces a single product, carbon dioxide can be reduced to numerous different compounds, including carbon monoxide, methane, methanol, and more complex hydrocarbons. Controlling product selectivity requires carefully designed catalyst surfaces that favor specific reaction pathways while suppressing unwanted side reactions. Leading research institutions worldwide have made remarkable progress in addressing these challenges. The Joint Center for Artificial Photosynthesis at the California Institute of Technology has demonstrated artificial leaf prototypes with solar-to-fuel conversion efficiencies exceeding 10%, substantially higher than natural photosynthesis. Meanwhile, researchers at Harvard University have developed artificial photosynthetic systems capable of producing alcohols and other organic compounds directly from carbon dioxide and water. Current state-of-the-art artificial photosynthetic devices achieve impressive performance metrics under laboratory conditions. Some systems demonstrate solar-to-hydrogen conversion efficiencies approaching 20%, while others can maintain stable operation for thousands of hours. However, significant challenges remain in translating these laboratory successes into practical, scalable technologies capable of addressing global energy and food security challenges. Transforming laboratory demonstrations of artificial photosynthesis into technologies capable of addressing global challenges requires overcoming substantial engineering, economic, and logistical obstacles. The journey from proof-of-concept devices to industrial-scale deployment involves scaling up manufacturing processes, reducing costs, and integrating artificial photosynthetic systems with existing infrastructure in ways that maximize their societal impact. Manufacturing artificial photosynthetic devices at the scales necessary for global implementation presents unprecedented challenges. Unlike conventional solar panels, which primarily require semiconductor fabrication, artificial photosynthetic systems demand precise integration of light-absorbing materials, catalysts, and separation membranes into cohesive devices. Each component must maintain its performance characteristics while operating in harmony with the others, requiring manufacturing tolerances measured in nanometers across devices spanning square meters. The materials requirements for global-scale artificial photosynthesis raise important questions about resource availability and sustainability. Many high-performance catalysts rely on rare earth elements or precious metals with limited global reserves. For example, current estimates suggest that deploying artificial photosynthesis at scales sufficient to meaningfully impact global energy supplies could require substantial fractions of annual platinum or iridium production. This resource constraint has driven intensive research into catalyst systems based on abundant elements like iron, nickel, and cobalt. Economic viability represents perhaps the most critical hurdle for artificial photosynthesis commercialization. Current prototypes cost thousands of dollars per square meter to manufacture, orders of magnitude more expensive than conventional solar panels. Achieving cost parity with existing energy technologies requires dramatic reductions in material costs, simplified manufacturing processes, and improved device longevity. Industry analysts estimate that artificial photosynthetic devices must achieve lifetimes exceeding 20 years while maintaining consistent performance to compete economically with fossil fuels. Integration with existing energy infrastructure presents additional complexities. Unlike electricity from conventional solar panels, which can be directly fed into power grids, artificial photosynthesis produces chemical fuels that require specialized storage, transportation, and utilization. Systems. Hydrogen, one of the primary products of artificial photosynthetic water splitting, demands high-pressure storage vessels or cryogenic facilities, along with specialized pipelines and fuel cells for energy conversion back to electricity. The potential. Applications of artificial photosynthesis extend far beyond simple energy production, offering revolutionary possibilities for food security and agricultural sustainability. Researchers envision artificial photosynthetic systems that could produce organic compounds directly from atmospheric carbon dioxide, potentially creating food ingredients without traditional agriculture. This approach could dramatically reduce the land area required for food production while eliminating agricultural runoff and pesticide contamination. Several pilot projects worldwide are exploring the practical implementation of artificial photosynthesis for food production. Scientists at the University of California, Riverside, have developed systems that use artificial photosynthesis to produce acetate, which can then be consumed by genetically modified microorganisms to create proteins and other nutrients. This approach could potentially produce food with 10 times greater land use efficiency than conventional agriculture. Environmental impact assessments of large-scale artificial photosynthesis deployment reveal both opportunities and challenges. On the positive side, widespread adoption could significantly reduce atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations while producing clean fuels and chemicals. However, manufacturing artificial photosynthetic devices requires energy-intensive processes and potentially toxic materials, creating environmental footprints that must be carefully managed. Life cycle analyses suggest that artificial photosynthetic systems must operate efficiently for minimum periods of 5 to 10 years to offset their manufacturing-related carbon emissions. Achieving this operational lifetime requires addressing degradation mechanisms that gradually reduce device performance, including corrosion of catalysts, fouling of surfaces, and structural changes in semiconductor materials. The timeline for commercial deployment of artificial photosynthesis remains highly uncertain, with expert predictions ranging from 10 to 30 years for first-generation systems. Optimistic scenarios envision specialized applications, such as fuel production, for aviation or space exploration, becoming commercially viable within the next decade. However, achieving the scale necessary to significantly impact global energy and food systems will likely require continued technological breakthroughs alongside substantial investments in manufacturing infrastructure and supporting technologies. The ultimate realization of efficient artificial photosynthesis promises to fundamentally transform human civilization's relationship with energy and resources, creating possibilities that extend far beyond Earth's boundaries. As research progresses toward practical implementation, the implications of this technology become increasingly profound, potentially reshaping everything from global agriculture to interplanetary exploration. Food security represents perhaps the most immediate and transformative application of artificial photosynthesis. Current agricultural systems face mounting pressure from climate change, soil degradation, and expanding populations, with global food demand projected to increase by 70% by 2050. Traditional approaches to increasing agricultural productivity, such as expanding farmland or intensifying cultivation practices, carry significant environmental costs and face physical limitations. Artificial photosynthetic food production could revolutionize this equation by enabling direct conversion of sunlight, water, and atmospheric carbon dioxide into organic molecules suitable for human consumption. Advanced systems might produce amino acids, vitamins, and even complex proteins without requiring traditional crops or livestock. This approach could potentially feed billions of people using only a fraction of the land area currently dedicated to agriculture, freeing vast regions for ecosystem restoration and carbon sequestration. The space exploration implications of artificial photosynthesis are equally compelling. Current life support systems for long-duration space missions rely heavily on supplies launched from Earth, making extended missions to Mars or the outer solar system prohibitively expensive and logistically complex. Artificial photosynthetic systems capable of producing both oxygen and food from local resources could enable truly sustainable off-world settlements. Mars presents particularly interesting opportunities for artificial photosynthesis deployment. Although the Martian atmosphere contains 96% carbon dioxide, its thin density and reduced sunlight intensity pose significant engineering challenges. However, artificial photosynthetic systems optimized for Martian conditions could potentially transform atmospheric carbon dioxide into useful compounds while producing oxygen for life support. Some researchers envision terraforming scenarios where vast arrays of artificial photosynthetic devices gradually modify planetary atmospheres over geological timescales. Climate change mitigation through artificial photosynthesis offers another transformative possibility. Unlike renewable energy technologies that simply reduce future carbon emissions, artificial photosynthesis could actively remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere while simultaneously producing useful products. Deployment at sufficient scale could potentially reverse centuries of fossil fuel emissions, stabilizing or even reducing atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations. However, the scale required for meaningful climate impact is staggering. Removing just 1% of annual global carbon dioxide emissions would require artificial photosynthetic installations covering areas comparable to small countries. Achieving net negative global emissions through artificial photosynthesis alone would demand engineering projects rivaling the scale of entire continental power grids, representing one of the most ambitious technological undertakings in human history. Several fundamental scientific and engineering challenges must still be resolved before these visions become reality. Device durability remains a critical limitation, with current prototypes typically degrading significantly within months of operation. Solving this problem requires deeper understanding of degradation mechanisms and development of self-repairing or easily replaceable components. Scaling up catalytic processes presents another major hurdle. Laboratory demonstrations typically involve tiny surface areas measured in square centimeters, while practical applications require consistent performance across thousands of square meters. Maintaining uniform catalyst distribution and activity across such scales while minimizing manufacturing costs demands innovations in materials science and industrial processing. International collaboration will prove essential for realizing artificial photosynthesis's full potential. The technology's global implications require coordinated research efforts, standardized testing protocols, and shared infrastructure development. Organizations like the International Energy Agency and the United Nations have begun incorporating artificial photosynthesis into long-term energy and sustainability planning, recognizing its potential importance for achieving climate goals. The path forward requires sustained investment in fundamental research, alongside targeted development of specific applications. Near-term opportunities likely lie in specialized markets, where artificial photosynthesis's unique capabilities justify higher costs, such as remote energy systems or specialized chemical production. Success in these niche applications could drive the technological improvements and cost reductions necessary for broader deployment. Julius Robert Mayer's 19th-century insight that solar energy powers all life continues to inspire 21st-century innovations that could reshape our species' future. As artificial photosynthesis transitions from scientific curiosity to practical technology, we stand on the threshold of an era where human civilization might finally harness the sun's energy with the same elegance and efficiency that has sustained the biosphere for billions of years.